Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vukenjani Kwekwasa Dumela Banabe Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Mbedi on the 18th of June. We'll be back just now.
Slow internet should be a headache of the past, yet many Namibians have connections that just aren't fast. We have a solution that might set you free. It's called Mobile LTE, and it comes with real speed. You'll enjoy up to 50 megabytes per second from just $300 Namibian a month and free internet browsing after midnight till 6. When it comes to staying connected, this is it. Visit paratus.africa/Namibia or our branches nationwide and experience the thrill of better internet with Paratus by your side.
Always prepared, Paratus.
Apologies for that slight interruption, but you are back with Africa Good Morning, your portal into the pertinent stories in the African continent and beyond. DStv 285, GOtv 25, 1up2.com and Network Media Hub as well as NTV Africa is precisely where you can find us. These are some of the stories that we're looking at today. Kenya's deputy police chief steps aside amid probe into blogger's death. Togo suspends RFI and France 24 for 3 months, communications authority says. Sudan in danger of self-destructing as conflict and famine reign. All right, so those are some of the stories on Africa Good Morning. We'll take a quick break and we return with the top stories. Kenya's Deputy Inspector Director General Eliud Lagat has voluntarily stepped aside amid intensifying investigations into the death of blogger Albert Ojwang, who died while in police custody. Ojwang had been arrested on June 6 for allegedly defaming Lagat online and was transported 400 kilometers to Nairobi, where he was found dead 2 days later. Police claim he died after hitting his head against a wall, but a pathology report contradicted this, citing head trauma, neck compression, and other injuries suggesting assault. The incident triggered widespread protests in Nairobi, leaving several injured and property damaged. 2 officers, including the Nairobi Central Police Station commander, were arrested in connection with the case. Lagat, while not acknowledging his direct role as the complainant, stated he would cooperate with the probe. President William Ruto has condemned the incident and promised protection for citizens from rogue officers. This case has reignited public outrage over police brutality in Kenya, just a year after similar protests erupted over extrajudicial killings. Ruto's earlier pledges to reform the police force are now under intense scrutiny, both domestically and internationally. And just yesterday, there were protests in Kenya which did turn violent. We'll be giving you a comprehensive update on that tomorrow. But now we move over to Togo, where the government has suspended French international broadcasters RFI and France 24 for 3 months, citing what its communications authority described as biased and inaccurate reporting that undermines national institutions. The decision follows rising political tensions in the country after President Faure Gnassingbé assumed a new role, President of the Council of Ministers, with no term limits, a move widely criticized by opposition parties as a constitutional coup. The Democratic Forces for the Republic and the National Alliance for Change, have led vocal protests against the controversial constitutional changes. RFI and France 24 covered these protests, prompting the authorities to accuse them of relaying inaccurate, tendentious, and even factually incorrect statements. In response, both media outlets reaffirmed their dedication to journalistic ethics and expressed willingness to engage with Togo's Communications Authority to clarify any issues. The suspension raises concerns about media freedom in Togo, particularly as opposition parties grow increasingly marginalized. It also underscores the widening rift between the Togolese government and foreign media perceived as critical of its political maneuvers. Togo has long faced criticism over democratic backsliding and suppression of dissenting voters. All right, we are now swinging over to Sudan, where the situation seems to get worse each and every day, and the country is teetering on the brink of collapse as its civil war reaches a brutal stalemate, leaving more than half of its 45 million people displaced and nearly 1 million on the verge of famine. The army's brief recapture of Khartoum has failed to shift the balance of power, with the rapid support forces retaliating through drone strikes allegedly supplied by the UAE. Meanwhile, RSF forces are besieging Al-Fasher, where fears of ethnic reprisals loom large. The humanitarian crisis deepens amid restricted aid access, crumbling infrastructure, and vanishing foreign support, especially after the closure of U.S. aid under the Trump administration. Grassroots emergency response groups struggle to survive, facing crackdowns from both warring factions. Despite the international community's tepid diplomatic efforts, including an inconclusive London peace conference, there is no viable peace process in place. With regional actors divided and global priorities elsewhere, Sudan remains a geopolitical orphan. The war risks fragmenting the nation along ethnic and territorial lines. As the world watches passively, Sudan's long-suffering population is caught in a vortex of violence, hunger, and abandonment, with no resolution in sight. Now we swing over to Nigeria, where there seems to be outrage over a perceived over-reliance on religion. A leaked memo directing staff of Nigeria's Ministry of Agriculture to observe prayer and fasting sessions has sparked outrage among farmers, agriculture experts, and the public. The sessions aimed at seeking divine intervention for food security were scheduled for June 16, 23, and 30, prompting backlash from stakeholders who deemed it a failure of governance. Critics described the move as tone-deaf and self-indicting, especially in the face of soaring input costs, rampant insecurity, and displacement of farming communities. Farmers lamented the inaccessibility of fertilizers and pesticides, while many remain unable to return to their lands due to ongoing bandit attacks. Experts emphasized that prayer without action is ineffective, urging the ministry to prioritize security, subsidies, and infrastructure. The ministry later clarified that the prayer directive was an internal human resources wellness initiative and not official policy. Nonetheless, critics argue that such gestures trivialize the urgent realities farmers face, especially with over 1,356 killed and vast farmlands abandoned due to conflict. The call has reignited demands for actionable policy, proper implementation, and meaningful support to Nigeria's food production systems. Now, in Mogadishu, a city once synonymous with chaos, two young female engineers, Fatih Mohammed Abdi and Sadia Ahmed Omar, are transforming Somalia's skyline and breaking gender barriers. Over the past 5 years, they have overseen more than 30 multi-million-dollar construction projects, including high-rise apartments in Taleh district. As civil war scars fade, a surge in diaspora investment and improved security has triggered a construction boom, with over 6,000 new buildings reshaping the capital. Yet challenges persist. Only 5% of Somali engineers are women, and structural safety concerns and unregulated borehole drilling raise environmental and planning risks. While veteran architects warn against the erasure of Mogadishu's historical architecture and question the quality of some constructions, the Somali Engineers Association advocates for women's involvement, noting the profession's revival after decades of war. Abdi and Omar, graduates of Plasma University, are now celebrated pioneers, proving that women can lead in reconstruction. For them, each structure is more than concrete. It's a symbol of hope, resilience, and a vision of Mogadishu as a model of the post-conflict transformation. Now we swing over to Namibia, where the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism joined the global community yesterday in observing Desertification and Drought Day, and this was at the Omusati Regional Council, with a strong national call to restore degraded land, build resilience against drought, and unlock socio-economic opportunities through sustainable land management. Here is Natalia Nakashona, Senior Conservation Scientist for the Ministry of Environment, speaking at the event.
Cutting down trees, and you are not even replacing with another tree. You just cut and go build your house, but you did not even in Metalo, you cut because it's my farm. No one had got a right to control me. I had to cut. No, it's wrong. When you cut, at least try to plant one tree, must replace by three, might be, to say that. Or in every birthday of your child, your wife, your husband, maybe try to plant a tree. Or when you remember our forefathers, maybe we remember them with at least one tree every year. This land of endless opportunity, it's time to unlock them now. With the moment we have more opportunity on land, coming up with different projects, we are creating opportunity for us to unlock what we call those three elements I just mentioned today, and then make our planet a healthy planet to stay.
All right, those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Shortly, we're going to head into the economic updates. But prior to that, the weather. We start our economic news in Botswana, where Botswana Diamond Company plans to tap into international markets to help finance its $6 billion Zwaneng underground mine project, according to Managing Director Andrew Motsomi. Facing declining revenues and escalating capital needs, Botswana, jointly owned by Botswana's government and De Beers, is shifting from its traditional reliance on internal funding and shareholder contributions. Production was cut by 27% in 2024, with a further 16% cut to 15 million carats expected in 2025. The underground expansion is aimed at extending the mine's life to 2054, as open pit operations are projected to become economically unviable by 2034. The company is working to acquire an international credit rating to facilitate market access. Capital expenditure is forecast to rise from an average of 5 billion pula annually to 8 billion pula over the next 5 years. Meanwhile, Botswana's Minister of Minerals and Energy, Bogolo Kenewendo, remains optimistic about a rebound in diamond sales by 2026, citing emerging positive market trends and long-term strategies as key drivers of a recovery. Now, at the JCK Show 2025, which was last week, Anna Martin highlighted how Botswana's natural diamonds turn love into lasting impact, building lives, communities, and a nation. Have a look.
Hi, I'm Anna Martin, and I am so impressed with what's happening in Botswana and how the president, he absolutely gave the love that diamonds give and the community that has benefited from this beautiful expression of love. And we believe that consumers need to hear this. They need to know the good that diamonds have done, and diamonds do good. That's why we're doing what we do. So we hope you continue to flourish, and we have to get the message to all consumers about the good that diamonds do. The president's speech was heartwarming. I think everyone needed to hear it. It came from the heart. It was very sincere, and let us understand exactly what diamonds have done, natural diamonds have done for communities and countries at large. So we need to get that message out to consumers. We must. In the United States, they need to know that that Botswana exists, and that's where this beauty comes from. I have been in this business for 40 odd years, and I have gone to Botswana many times. I've gone to the mines, and I absolutely know what it does. And I come back to the United States, and I'm shocked that the message is not getting across. The Botswana connection is what's needed. And then they can realize that what comes out of the ground is actually benefiting people. Okay, it's the livelihood of the community and the country. And I think the president's speech was so heartwarming to me and many others. We need to get that message to the consumers in the United States and maybe worldwide. But certainly this is a big consumer of diamonds in this country, and we really need to deliver the message because he did it so heartwarming. Oh, I'm very impressed. Thank you.
Now, JP Morgan has raised the likelihood of Afreximbank's participation in debt restructurings involving countries like Ghana and Zambia, and this is following recent credit concerns. This comes after Fitch downgraded Afreximbank's rating to just above junk, citing weak risk management and high credit risks, with non-performing loans hitting 7.1% at the end of 2024. Despite the downgrade, JP Morgan upgraded its outlook on the bank's bonds to overweight, noting that the sharp drop in valuations now makes Afreximbank's 2029 and 2031 bonds attractive. The bank has maintained that its preferred creditor status should shield it from restructuring impacts, but analysts warn that further involvement could prompt another downgrade to high-yield status, possibly triggering forced bond sales. JP Morgan's Konstantin Rozanstev emphasized that the current pricing already compensates for this risk. Afreximbank's involvement is a pivotal issue in ongoing debt resolution talks across several African countries, especially as investment sentiment remains cautious following Fitch's negative outlook. Now, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, speaking at the G7 summit, emphasized South Africa's commitment to deeper cooperation on investment, climate action, just transitions, global crime, and inclusive development, describing the G7 as a vital strategic partner in advancing shared global practices.
Well, we've just concluded our visit to Canada to attend the G7 summit. It's been most meaningful for us, particularly as we are the president of the G20. We've had the opportunity to interact with a number of heads of states and government of various countries. And the issues that we put on the table is the issue of climate change and how important it should be treated by the global community with regard to our just energy transition, and also what we intend to achieve out of the G20 with regard to climate change, the financing thereof, but more particularly how we deal with the after effects of climate change, particularly the floods that we've been suffering from, where a number of our people have died, as well as the destruction of infrastructure. We put that firmly on the global agenda, that there should be sufficient funding for incidents such as those, as they happen on a repeated basis, particularly in our sub-region, in SADC, but more importantly, in two of our provinces, KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, have suffered over just the past few years repeated incidents of destruction from floods and also droughts in part of the Western Cape. We also discussed the issue of critical minerals. We've discussed the importance of how our critical minerals should be treated, particularly in view of the fact that they play such an important role in energy security, and that the extraction of minerals from African countries and our own country particularly should be made more to be not only extractive, but also to have value add, where beneficiation becomes the order of the day, and where they who want to invest in our minerals should know upfront that we're not only looking forward to them extracting minerals, but also to value chain additions or advancements in the form of beneficiation, so that in the end we live up to what we've been saying, that we want to sell value-added products to the rest of the world. So it's been a very good G7 for us, and we've been able to have bilateral meetings with a number of countries, and that in many ways has proven to be most beneficial to South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Let's have a look at the economic indicators before we wrap up the show. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast on DStv 285, GOtv 25, oneup2.com, and NTV Africa on YouTube. Tomorrow, we still take you through the top stories in Africa, and of course, Ari Hoga joins us for the South Africa report. But for now, from myself, Ashwin Bedi, and the Africa Good Morning team, Swera Jakanaka.